on track, you feel me? I'm out here getting paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. That game plan, show out like a jotter, pop out like a cutter. Telling the quick rock, skipping the coach, squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with pens and needles. So lethal, make Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dream till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me.
I was absolutely greeting everybody on Wednesday Do That at right here on Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you had a great week so far. It is my favorite night of the week. Y'all already know we ready to do what it do and do it until we can't do it no more. How is everyone? I hope you're doing good. I hope everything is well. I hope that you are doing amazing. Amazing. I know I am, and I'm glad to see you. So on tonight, let's see what we got happening here on the Thursday night with Bravo with Sheila. Again, I'm your Thursday night host. Who your girl, Lady Dawn B, is in the house. I'm excited because I get to spend these next 60 to 90 minutes or so with you. Thank you for tuning in, chiming in, joining us. I hope that you will invite a friend. You know, we like to do things in triplet kits. So in triple, y'all know the word. Triplicate, whatever it is, you get it. So like, subscribe, and share on tonight. Bring a friend into this amazing conversation. You do not want to miss this conversation tonight. Just bear with me one moment. I'm sorry. I know I'm semi-distracted. I am just inviting some people. So give me one moment. Again, hope you guys have had a good day. And all right. So here we go. Okay. So good evening. I'm happy to be here. And there we go. So I'm glad you are here with me on tonight. Let's see who is in the house. Per usual, we have our amazing moderator, the greatest to ever do it on this side of heaven in these YouTube streets. None other than Ine Kenya is in the house. Welcome, Ine. Thank you for joining. I see we got 3 people watching. Come on and pop up in these comments and say good evening. Say hi to us so we can say hi back. It's friendly space. You're safe, I promise. How you doing, Ine? Thank you for always being here with us and navigating, holding it down. She regulates in the space, and we appreciate that. So please like, subscribe, and share. And well, thank you so much. She said, I am looking sassy today. You think so? I'm looking sassy. I'm trying, a little something. It's the men's lounge night. Oh, shucks. And here we go. We got Minister Donald. Y'all know I call him who? 404. He is in the chat on tonight. It's okay. I believe he is, if he can join us, he will. But it is all good. It's all good. It is all good. Hey, 404. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I'm looking good. Okay, well, thank you. I'm trying to represent for the men folk on tonight. Try to hold it down for y'all in the spaces. Trying to hold it down. Try to look like a little something in here. All right, so who else we got? My sister, Minister Karen Griffin, is in the place on tonight. She says, blessings everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I am so excited. You know, the third Thursday of every month. Don't tell nobody, but it's really my favorite Thursday. I enjoy every Thursday, but something happens when what? Y'all know how we do. Something happens when men speak, and tonight the men are going to be speaking. We got who else? Pastor Lindsey Jones. He's in the building, but he says, let's get it on. All right, sir. Since you want to get it on, we are going to do what? Get it all the way on. So I also want to greet those of you who are up in the silent section, the expensive seats. I want to say thank you for tuning in. I invite you to come down to this comment section and join us. Say hello. As always, I promise you it is safe down here. We got security. No one's going to hurt you. We welcome all comments, opinions, feelings, and expressions. We just ask that you keep them respectful. But we are not here to argue nor to debate, but we're here to have healthy conversation, good dialogue. We want to have real conversation with real resolutions, and we respect everyone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And while I'm on that, let me do my usual disclaimer on Thursday nights, which is while Bravo with Sheila Network is not a Christian channel, if you do want to be a part of or get some good word in, you can go right across the street to the Sheila Ingram Ministries Networks, right across the street. I promise you can't miss it. Go out right across. Over there, they have amazing word that goes on, the Kabbalah, the Women of Grace, and so many other uplifting programs with the word of God that you will not leave empty, you will leave full. So you can go across the street to the Sheila Ingram Ministries channel. See, I'm excited. I got to slow myself down. But over here, on this side of the street, on the Bravo with Sheila Network, while we are not a Christian-based network, we are all believers. We are all Christian. And so, as you know, I'm a God's girl. So you what? Always going to get a little Jesus when you get on here with me. Absolutely at some point. Yes. So, but we do respect everyone's thoughts, feelings, opinions, whatever your moral compass is. We appreciate you and we appreciate you sharing. Again, we just ask that everyone would do so respectfully and with honor and integrity. So, as always, before I move on to anything else, we want to pay homage to the curator of this amazing space, the Pastor Sheila Ingram, my auntie Bravo. We give her a bravo and salute to her. And I say thank you as always for yielding me this captain's chair every Thursday night so I can have this time to have great conversation with these amazing people. Help us to grow this network by liking, subscribing, and sharing because we want to get the word out. We have amazing programs over here. If you're not aware or you missed it, we have Monday night Beyond the Mic with my Harlem Girl sisters. They come on and they share an amazing platform. And so we want you to join them over there. Again, we have Thursday nights with me, Lady Dawn B. And throughout the rest of the week, Pastor Sheila is always doing something. She's got some good information happening, some amazing programs going on. Tap in, tune in. I'm telling you, like, subscribe, and share. You don't want to miss anything. But if you do, there's always the replay. So go back and watch it. Those count. Help us to increase the algorithm and grow this network. So on tonight, I think that covers all of our opening announcements, but I'm excited for the month of June. We have dedicated it to our men because we need to take time out to honor our men, respect our men, love on them, just encourage them and share some support. Thus far, we've had amazing talks every Thursday night. We started out the month talking about men's emotions, asking them, how are you feeling? We want them to identify how they're feeling. And we had Pastor Sheila come on as our special guest on that night, and she shared about the temperaments and the different ways that we are feeling, how we're wired. It brought such knowledge and understanding. I encourage you to go back and watch it. Find that program, watch it, take notes. I know I've watched it at least twice. I got to finish watching it again. I learned so much about myself and others, but it's important that we do that. But we wanted to stop and pause and ask our men how they're feeling and take the time to listen, because so often men are not given the space to share how they feel, to acknowledge how they feel, and to be respected for how they feel. So we wanted to do that. Then last week we had my dear friend, Pastor Chuck Pastor Charles Humphrey, aka Pastor Chuck. He came on and we talked about men's heart health. What is making your heart beat? We had an amazing discussion about really what is in the hearts of our men. How are they feeling? What is it that causes your heart to beat? We want to understand what makes you feel, what helps you flow, so that we can be a better support and so that we can understand what is going on within you. And look who is in the house. It is Bravo with Sheila herself. She says, hello, good evening, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, Auntie Bravo. It's good to see you. Salute. Come on, give us some love, y'all. We also want to welcome my sis, Prophetess Risha Epps is in the house. And she says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sis. So glad you made it. So on tonight, now that we've caught up the recap of where we were, tonight is a special night because it is our men's lounge night, where the men come on the platform and they share openly. I am the only estrogen amongst this team of testosterone that sits on this space, and we talk. But on tonight, I'm going to let the men have at it. Our topic for tonight is based off of a song by a gentleman called his name is Dax, and it is To Be a Man. You know, we have our ideas about what it means to be a man, or what manhood should be, or how they should feel. But the truth of the matter is, no one knows better what it means to be a man than a man does. So on tonight, without further ado, I'm going to bring up our men's lounge squad. Hopefully some other team members may join. They will be able to be here. They'll be popping on or popping off in between. But on tonight, we have kicking it off. I'm going to bring up the lead moderator of the men's lounge. Y'all know him. I call him the Encounter and the Experience. We all know when you get him, you get a whole lot. And that's okay. We like it like that. So come on and greet. We're bringing up Pastor Christopher Newton on tonight. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I am hot.
Yes.
Okay, let me stop. All right. Well, yeah, it is very hot in the tri-state area. Did he say tri-state? Yeah, I'm in the tri-state area. It is hot. So I'm used to Texas hot, but this is a little bit different, so I'm getting acclimated. But anywho, God bless all of you. Thank you so much for coming on. Y'all do not want to miss it, so please tell Shanae, tell Ranisha, tell Pookie, tell all your cousins and them that are girl cousins to watch this program tonight, because y'all will be blessed. I'm telling you, it's not you gonna be blessed. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna spoil it, because I got a tag team partner that's here with me tonight. So salute to the Bravo Nation family. Shout out to everybody that's watching. So please share, get your popcorn, wear your nice little flip flops, ladies, and some of y'all wear the little what you call them things, house coats, house coats or robes or whatever it is, or 2 things of water, because y'all might need that too. Some Kleenex. Okay, let me stop acting up. All right. This your boy Summer's Voice. Can't wait to get this thing popping. So let's go. I'm ready and I'm done for now.
All right. Well, thank you, Pastor Chris, for joining tonight. He is going to probably be facilitating most of our conversation. We're going to turn him a little loose. And next, I want to bring up my brother, my friend. That's right. One and only. There's none like him nowhere. He is awesome in his own right. He hails from the MD, although he's from the BX. So we're going to bring him up. Pastor Lindsay is in the house. We have missed his face. What's good, bro? It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see everybody. Greetings. Yes, it's going to be an awesome night. Shout out to the Sheila Nation Network. It's a wonderful time to be here. I'm excited about what's going to happen tonight, and let's get it rocking.
Well, all right. We're glad that you're here. The men are ready. Something happens when men speak. And last but not least, thus far, I call him I don't call him 404. I'm 404. I call him 204. See, I'm so excited. I forgot what number I am in the list. You all know him. You love him. He is probably the original. Yeah, he is the original Men's Lounge member. He is in the person of my brother by blood, same mother, father, and all that. In the person of Minister Donald Brathwaite. Come on up and greet the people while you can, bro. How are you?
Doing good, feeling good, looking good as always. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
I said,
Charles Brathwaite's right.
oh, am I there now? That's my check.
You there? You there? Oh,
You're
I'm
here.
sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
No,
We hear you.
all right. That's all that matters. Pleasure to be here tonight.
They're like, oh, okay, y'all carrying on like this already. All right, I see how we doing. Okay, so with that being said, I guess I was overstepping my bounds. Forgive me for being a hostess. I'm so sorry. I know it's the men's lounge night. I will let y'all have your fill, but do want to again, please like, subscribe, and share. Invite someone to join us on tonight for this conversation. Y'all know when the men come on, when the men's lounge night, it gets smoky in here. They bring all the smoke, the toxicity, they bring the fire, they bring it all, but we have great real conversation, and that's what we want. So before I turn it over for a moment, I want to greet some more people who have come into the building. We got Pache Felton. Coach Pache is in the house. She is the co-host of Monday Night Beyond the Mic. She is also the co-founder of the most amazing writing group ever to exist on this side of heaven, Harlem Girls Forever. Those are my peeps. Hey, Pache, check them out on Monday night. I'm telling you, it's good stuff right here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. We also want to greet my sis, the newlywed, with an awesome 72-hour name change. My girl, Ginger Key Bloomfield, Lady Bloomfield, is in the house. She says, good evening. Oh, hey, sis, so glad you were able to pop on and make it over here. I know you got to do double duty because you have a whole husband to support. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Congratulations again to you and my brethren. For those who don't know, she is married to my good brother, my brethren, Gregory Bloomfield, who is no stranger to this platform. And we congratulate them on their wedding, their marriage, and we wish them all the best. It's amazing when good people connect. Another Kingdom Marriage is in the house. Hallelujah. All right, let's see who else we got. Pache says not house code. Yeah, Pastor Chris. No, nobody's doing that no more. Nobody, and nor should you. Something's wrong if you still got a house code or something wrong. Risha says, why those names? And she's laughing. We don't know why. You know, with Pastor Chris, you get what it is that you get. He keeps it raw, real, and to the point. So again, thank you all for joining tonight. The men's lounge is about to be fire. They are congratulating you and blessing you. And tonight we want to get into this good conversation. Again, the month of June is dedicated to our men. We know it's Father's Day, and what happens is, a lot of men, they don't want the tie no more. They're tired of socks. They try to get a new spatula for the grill. They don't want a new set of screws, no more tools. Men want to be appreciated with more than that. So, ladies, we got to go back to the drawing board. But if we lean in and listen tonight, I'm sure we can find some other means of appreciating them. So tonight, again, the conversation topic is To Be a Man. It is based off of a song. That is the name of the song by Dax. And so I listened to the song. And there was a line in the chorus that keeps ringing with me, but I'm going to hold mine for now, and I'm going to pass it over to Pastor Chris to kick it off and get us started. The mic is yours, sir.
Well, thank you so much for surrendering your mic on tonight. I definitely appreciate that because this show's going to be popping. So, ladies, y'all need to kind of listen in because it's going to be a good one. So, yes, the show is entitled To Be a Man, and it is coming from the song written and produced by Dax. And, of course, there is different versions of the song, but the point of the song is still clear. Now, it's basically, I'll just give you an intro of the song. Basically, the song's about expectation that society places on men and how these expectations can negatively impact a person's thoughts and actions, men in particular. The song's chorus, I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. Now it goes on, but I'll just give a quick description. It's described as a painful raw and helps the listener or men, women, whoever's listening to the song see the situation from our perspective. That's why I loved the song. It does, yes, for all of us that just listen to gospel music. Okay, I'm sorry, this might kind of tilt you a little bit, but this song does speak volumes. Why? Because it's not talked about in churchdom. Church. So we don't talk about that too much. Not saying everyone. So please don't inbox me. Not everybody is not talking about it, but these are thoughts that we're going to pull out tonight. This song, we're going to discuss the loneliness of the path of being a man, being walked out on, feeling unappreciated, feeling that no one cares about what you think, what you know, how you feel, what you're going through, because again, it can be a very lonely road indeed. So I wanted to start it off with the main chorus of the song, the breakdown of the song, pretty much. And then, of course, I have questions. So the breakdown, I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. So that particular part right there for me, as far as I can't explain what it is to be a man. Now, we all know the basics. We all know the core structure of what a man is, right? Yeah, we know. We know the provider. We know the protector. We know that those are the basic stuff that we know for most of us. But can I tell you it goes deeper? Can I tell you that regardless of what generation a man comes from, these feelings are still here? A lot of us process it differently depending on the generation. But again, we process it differently. But with this song exposed the truth. Now, I listened to this song like 300 times, and I still was moved by it. Why? Because you could hear the cry, and he was speaking for not all. So please, some of the men that are, strong and all that stuff, please don't inbox me either. I'm just speaking my opinion. All I'm saying is he spoke for some that don't speak for themselves or can't speak for themselves, or they was raised not to speak for themselves. This song spoke volumes. So these lines right here, they set the tone for everything. And it's not easy being a man in this world or in the church. I'm gonna get in trouble with that one, but I'm keep going. Where we're showing vulnerability is often seen as a sign of what? Weakness, right? That's the big word. Kryptonite. You weak. Oh, you're showing too much emotion. You weak. Okay, let's continue. But I'm here to tell you all, men, that it's good that we open up and let the world understand what it truly means to be a man in the church aspect and in a natural aspect. Why? Because it's not being seen.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because you mentioned a key point, and it's something that gets talked about on Monday nights, but you were talking about the point of vulnerability. So if I can, I'm sorry to interject just in that space, because I think we also need to understand what it takes for men to open up and become vulnerable in those spaces, especially at home. So if I could ask each of you, if you don't mind, to maybe take 2 minutes and just share what components are needed for a man to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable. We can assume what it is, or what what dynamic we need to create for you. But truth be told, we could be very wrong. So we want to hear from you, each of you, if you could share what you feel is needed to create a vulnerable space. Go ahead, Pastor Chris.
Well, the first thing I think that needs to happen is the fact that we need a safe place. And what do I mean by that? It's enough in this world for men to go out of the house and then come home. and deal with the struggles on the outside world, and then have to come home and fight a total different battle. I don't think a lot of women understand that all depends on your job, but when you're out in the world, you're fighting one battle outside, and then when you get home, you have to fight a total different battle at home. And some men can't leave one battle and then have to come home tired and then fight another battle, where sometimes our home sometimes needs to be our safe haven, meaning that if we fighting outside, we don't want to have to come home and have to have another fight. When we leave the house in the morning, we want to say, hey, I'll see you later. When I get home, my home is my safe place. And a lot of times, home is not the safe place anymore. Where you're fighting outside, then you have to come home and fight again. And sometimes you may feel, and I felt it this way myself, is that sometimes I don't want to come home because I don't have to want to fight two battles. I don't want to have to fight a battle on the outside and then have to come fight on the inside. When I want to come home, I want to come home to peace.
Right.
I want to be able to come in my house, relax, talk about my day, and then leave it alone. Because we want to be able to unwind in a place where sometimes we will have to vent to our spouse just to get it off our chest. Now, for me, where I work at, I've learned to vent to other people prior to me getting home. Because when I come home, I don't know the battles my wife fought when she was out or when she was at work. So therefore, I don't want to bring my battles home, and then she brings her battles home, and now we both fighting each other's battles again. We'd already fought outside, and we're bringing it back home. So I vent on my job. I vent before I come home. I get somebody on the phone, and we clash it out, we laugh, hey. So when I get home, I'm at peace. Everything's left outside, and I want to come home to a peaceful environment where I can be free to talk about whatever I want to talk about and not get any backlash about anything, because that's my safe place. And I think I worked that out between me and a couple of my friends that I talk to on my way home from work. And my wife does the same thing. So when we come home, it's like, okay, day is done. It's just me and you time, or me and a family time. And this is a place where you can talk freely, be yourself, kiki, laugh, do what we have to do, because it's a safe place. And the last thing a man wants to do is fight outside and then have to come home and fight an internal battle too. It's not going to work.
Right. And I think that's good. And thank you for that share. And that's important, because when we talk about vulnerability, you do need a safe space. And I think that, in all fairness, I love the fact that you made it inclusive, with the understanding that, women, we deal with a lot during the day as well. So even when we come home, I don't think any of us, I think we have to get to a place of us, men and women, understanding that we actually want to come home to the same thing, and that sometimes that space has to be created by both. That safe space has to be created by both, so that we can both be vulnerable. The fact that you decompress before you get home is a great idea as well. There are some, because you don't want to bring that home, because your wife could create a safe and peaceful place for you. But if you're coming home with too much weight and too much baggage, when you come in the door, that absolutely kills the space that she's created, and vice versa. So I think it's communication on both ends require, like, if you touch base throughout the day, tap in during the day with each other, do a temperature check, see where you at. Okay, maybe you need a minute or two before coming in the house. I know for me, I sit outside sometimes in my car because I just need to decompress from the day, whatever, But ladies, we are leaning in tonight, and we are listening to what it takes to be a man. We are listening to our men speaking and sharing about the spaces that they are in and what is being shared from them because there are a lot of things that men go through that we don't know and we don't understand. I'm going to be hopping in and out of the conversation just so y'all know, but it's on you tonight. Blessings, Von Eric. Thank you for joining. It's so good to see you. Glad you could be here on tonight. But thank you for that, because again, we often talk about creating safe spaces, and so that you can be vulnerable. But I think we also have to understand that everyone's safe space looks different. And you have to define to your mate what that means. So there's no, one formula. You just need to define what that means. So Pastor Chris, you want to take 2 minutes to share on that, and then we get to Minister Donald, and then I'll yield it back to you.
Yes. I'll be quick because I have a lot to this. So creating a space not only for yourself, but you all, and Pastor Lindsay said it, you have to be also mindful of if you have a spouse at home, understanding that sometimes if they work full time or whatever it is, and you're working full time, having that person you confide in to vet with. I never thought of that until he just said it. So sometimes it's hard, for some of us, we don't have that outlet. So what do? So great case in point, sit in the car, listen to some music, blast it all the way home. Hey, whatever you got to do. So for me, music is my degressor, because a lot of times I don't have that outlet, or I can call somebody, blah, 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 blah. So by the time I get home, at least my spirit is at ease. Of course, my face will still look like I probably had the worst day of my life, but my spirit will be more at ease to release the information. Now, here's the kicker. If you don't create the space, men and women, to open the door for that, you're going to constantly have issues. And this is why we're having this conversation tonight, because the atmospheres are not created. And that's what makes a volatile situation. I don't care how much money they make. I don't care how good they look. It'll be volatile regardless of how you swing it if both of you can't communicate. And if that box is closed from a man's perspective and we're letting it out, and you slam the door in our face with your mouth, attitude, all this other stuff, look, I get it. It's like me coming to you with an attitude. Most of y'all clap back. That's just how you are like that. Just say it. But all I'm saying is we have to create the atmosphere, and I'll leave it at that.
No, and that's good. And I just want everyone to understand, we're having this conversation so that we can communicate better with each other. Excuse me. Communication has to start somewhere. We all have to come to the table with our defenses down. If we are really going to get anywhere, and it can't be, everybody wants to be heard, but no one is listening. So tonight, again, we are trying to decompress, let our shields down. We want to lean in and listen, because truthfully, women will talk whether people are listening or not. Men, y'all are built differently, and you don't do that. But in the relationship space, you have to make sure that space for communication is created. And I don't think anybody wants to be in a relationship with anybody that you cannot communicate with, that you're always at odds with, and it is always an issue. You get into a relationship to love one another and grow, not to make miserable and destroy. So these are important conversations, and these are great shares, because we want to get a better understanding of how we can support you in your endeavors of being a man. A lot of us have wrong misconceptions and off expectations, and just not tapping into the reality of really what men deal with. So ladies, we're not forgetting about you. It's just men's night. It's men's month. And so we want to hear from them. Donald, if you are free, you want to take 2 minutes and share. We were talking about creating what kind of space is needed to have a space for you to display your vulnerability. So I'm going to yield the mic to you so you can have your 2 minutes to share, because we have a lot to come.
So I'm trying to really think of what my share would be differently than what I heard. Some of which I could agree with, some of which I don't really agree with. But nonetheless, I think the important thing is the communication above all. and especially how you communicate and what you're communicating to what you're communicating in any relationship. If you're trying to convey just the kind of day you had to a wife, girlfriend, etc., you want to be mindful as to how as to what you really want her to do. Do you want her to listen and just hear about it, or do you want to glean something from her as a suggestion? Because sometimes I do realize that when a man is venting, when I vent, I'm going to speak for myself, sometimes my wife may suggest something that I'm in a disagreement with and may turn the conversation differently. So what I've learned to do is say to her, hey, honey, this is, can I get your opinion on something? And that's me basically saying, hey, I'm about to tell you something that I do want to value your opinion. Other times it may be, hey, I just want to share this with you real quick about my day. I think it's important to be transparent in how men and women communicate, although they communicate differently. I think it's important to be have an open communication, transparent dialogue, none of the beating around the bush. Have patience, obviously, because it may take me longer to explain something where my wife may take less time to explain something, or vice versa. I think you have to be confident in yourself too, to be able, as a man, because I think one of the other parts of this question had to do with a man's sensitivity. I think if you're comfortable, and you need to be comfortable with yourself with a man as a man,
we're losing you.
Oh, hold on. Passing through. Let's see. Is this better? Okay, not better. Is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so to kind of conclude my point.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, cool. In conclusion, what I'm saying too is that there is nothing wrong with a man having a sensitive part of himself being seen in front of his lady, as long as she is not uncomfortable about it, and as long as that sensitivity doesn't come off too sensitive or in a feminine-like way that could be misunderstood. And I don't even know what to even describe as what's too sensitive versus what's okay, because every woman is different. Every woman's threshold for how a man expresses himself is different. But I would definitely say that there shouldn't be anything wrong with a man talking transparently, openly, to a lady, or even around his friends. As long as he's confident about doing it and not made to feel uncomfortable.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for that share as well. So go ahead, Pastor Lindsay.
He said something that really made me sit here and think about, sometimes as we come home, the female, and we're looking for something, the female has to learn how to read us. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we just want to vent and don't get any response from you at all. We just want to get it off our chest. Other times we want your opinion. And I think a lot of times, I think women get it confused where we want to vent and you always want to give an opinion. Every time we come home or every time we say something, it's not always to be opinionated. It's just that we want to get it out. We want to get it off our chest. We want to say what we got to say and leave it. And then I think a lot of times women misread it and think that every time we say something, it has to be a response. And it doesn't need to be a response, because like you said, if I want to vent and you say something to respond to my venting, then the conversation now changes, where I just want to get it off my chest. I just want to get off my day. This was the worst day of my life, blah, 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 blah. And just leave it at that. Just let it go. But then when y'all start to chime in, well, you should have did this, you should have did that. That changes the dynamic of now the conversation, and now we feel defensive. And we feel like, okay, now you're attacking us, because all we want to do is vent. And now you got an opinion about it, and it just throws off the whole conversation in a different, it shifts the conversation a different way. And that's why we sometimes don't want to be vulnerable, because we communicate differently.
Right.
And if you know your spouse, I'm speaking married because I've been married going on 20 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
She knows me. So she knows he's venting, let me not say nothing. Or she knows, hey, he's not venting, he's speaking, but he wants me to reply to it without me saying, hey, I want your opinion about something. We've been married long enough to know the difference. So I encourage anybody who's dating or who's in a relationship, know your spouse's language and how to communicate. Because little words like, hey, I might want your opinion. You might want my opinion on this. You may not, but it's key to pick up on certain things, certain tones, certain inflections of your voice will trigger to let you know, hey, respond, don't respond.
Right. So can I just say, and you're right, and you and Donald are correct, and I respect the angle that you're both coming from, and these are things for us to consider. I would just, in response, say to that, just so that we're having a well-balanced and open conversation, that there is a difference in venting and in communicating. You know, you said sometimes if we respond during a time where you're venting, it changes the dynamic of the conversation. But truthfully, that's not a conversation. If you're just venting and you don't want me to say anything, we're not conversing. That some women will read that as dumping, you know, to just you want a place to dump what you're feeling. And what you also, and this is with everyone, what you also have to consider is after you have that, and there's nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong. But after you have that moment of dumping, now I have this on my lap. What am I supposed to do with it? That's how women, I know for me, some, as Pastor Chris would say, some, not all. As for me, you want to unload, which is fine, you know, because that's what we're here, part of what we're here to do for each other. But now as a woman, I have this in my hands or on my lap that you have shared. Now, what am I supposed to do with it? Because you got it off your chest, but now it's on mine because I care. So women, we will tend to try to, Donald, I got to mute your mic because there's background noise. We will tend to, you know, we're nurturers. So yes, we want to fix it. You know, we want to help at least to fix it. And it does come with understanding. It comes with communicating. And like you said, your wife knows when you're in those spaces, when this is a listening time, when this is a response time, whether this is a support time, but all those things come with time. Things you learn over time. I've never experienced your temper at 10. I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to you at 10. If all I know is your temper at 3. You know what I'm saying? So we have to learn. And this is why it's important that what the three of you have shared so far when we're talking about vulnerability and helping you is to create the safe space, communication, and this is key, which lends into what you were saying, is clarity. It's okay for you to be clear. I think it would help if men are clear. And if men are clear in this moment, and there's nothing wrong with starting out the conversation, because we're not mind readers. We don't know. All we know is we hear you talking out of frustration, and we don't want your hearts to be heavy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know whether to hug you now. I don't know whether you don't want to be hugged. I don't know. Should I bring you tea? Do you want coffee? You know, I don't know if I should leave you alone. Should I just nod my head? Because if I don't say something when you are expecting a response, you'll be like, well, you're not even listening to me. You know what I'm saying? So it comes with being clear. So it helps us if you even start out by saying, listen, I just want to share this. I don't want you to fix it for me, but I want to share with you. You know, if you have that time, or even at the end of what you're saying, you can, you know, just include that, just so that we're not guessing, and so that we can be the support and response that you want and need. So I just wanted to share that as a tag along before we move on. Pastor Chris has a question. He says, ladies, your input. Do you feel it's not about how a man feels or only what he can provide in the home? That's a good question. And that was my favorite part of the song, actually. So like, subscribe, and share, guys. Let's see. Landon Price is in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining this great conversation. It is the Men's Lounge night, and we are talking Happy Father's Day again to all the men, the males, all of y'all. We appreciate you and we salute you. Absolutely. I'm going to turn it back over to Pastor Chris to share a little bit more as we move on into this conversation. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the song, I did put the link somewhere in the chat as soon as it shows up, so you can go listen to it. It is it's a beautiful song. It is very expressive. So Pastor Chris, I'm yielding my mic back to you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm putting questions in the chat to get some engagement from the listening audience, because again, there's a lot of stuff here, and we may not get to all of it tonight. So, no, we're not going to get through all this. It's a lot, but the song also goes on. It says in that line, I'll break it down again. The first line says, "I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man." Now, in that, we just talked about that just a few minutes ago. And also, there's also undertone with this as well. Now, a lot of times, we understand that, we have to be strong and all this stuff, right? Now, the song goes on to talk about the loneliness of a path that men walk, right? Because it's a very lonely path, especially in the other side of the fence. If you are a spiritual leader, a pastor, it seems as though your communicational lines seem to get smaller and smaller. Yes, we know God is there. Yes, we got that part. Not sitting here knocking it either. But if you don't have that safe space, you're going to go into this depression, and then this spirals into more stuff. You have that path of loneliness. You can only talk to yourself. You can only talk to what you feeling. You can't express it to nobody that's going to give you some reciprocal response, as well as not only encourage, not only inspire, but listen. That's a key. We want to talk a lot, but we don't want to listen. Okay, I got a t-shirt and hat. We talk a lot, but we don't want to listen. Now, a lot of times what our ladies can give us, the value is there. But again, like we said earlier, the keys have to be unlocked from both doors. If we're both closed, how is anything going to happen? You going to stay mad because I come home mad. I'm going to be mad at you because you can't talk to me. And all you do is say, "Oh, man up and be quiet. I want to hear that. Da-da-da-da-da. Can I get $200 so I can buy a new Gucci purse?" We don't want to hear that. But that's what happens. Let me keep going because I ain't trying to get no shoes thrown at me tonight. Okay, so so it talks about loneliness of the path that we walk, right? It's a path where it feels like no one cares about what you know and what you can only provide. And that's the question I'm posing tonight, and everybody's quiet. So within the walls of our homes, we talked about it. It has to be a safe space. If it's not a safe space, guess what? There's other alternatives. We're going to go there soon. We're going to go there too. Now, the weight of the expectations that we carry, just as a man, I'm not talking about a man of God and all that stuff. I ain't even go to that yet. Just as a man, that can be crushing. Because the standards that we have to hold, it's crushing. We don't hold our incomes. We don't hold social statuses. We don't have a certain car. We don't have a home. All these things is crushing. And we don't need to hear, "Oh, you can't, and you this, and you that, and you this." We don't need to hear that. That's the problem. Now, do you understand why? Now, if there's a reason that was just straight tomfoolery, then yeah, you have every right to mouth off. But if life be lifing, ladies and gentlemen, pull the reins back just a little bit. Because there's a lot of things that you guys don't understand as a man we go through, period. And if we don't hold the mark just socially, we feel deflated and defeated. And we ain't going to even get into the church part because that's a whole nother subject. But I'm going to say this. That's a whole nother show, and y'all gonna be mad at me about half the stuff I'm saying. But I'm gonna say this: men, stay encouraged. If you can't give $1,000 seed offering, does not mean you're not a man of God. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay. Anyway, so and sometimes it's hard for us to express words. Sometimes it's hard to express it. Why? Because we don't feel comfortable expressing it, and it should not be the case in where you lay your head at night. It should not be the case. We should be able to say what needs to be said. I'm not talking about dumping. I'm talking about having a conversation. Now, sometimes the conversation might start off that way, depending on how you communicate.
Right.
But if you can have a conversation after the dumping, then that's great. But if you're just dumping and just say nothing, I'm going to go to the bathroom, take a shower. What? So of course we're going to have issues. Anyway, let me continue, and I'm going to stop because we're still not getting no responses. What's going on, ladies? Y'all not saying nothing. I need y'all participation.
They're gonna chime in. They're gonna chime in. But I just want to pause and say, okay, if I'm hearing you right, you're talking about the weight that you as men carry and how we don't understand the pressures that you're under before you even come home. Yep. Like you said, because again, women, and I know this may sound like a repetitive conversation, and we go at this in different intervals and circles. It's just that it's important, because until we get over the hurdle to find out what keeps causing this breach in relationships, and we come to a common understanding, so that we are now, once you understand something, you can learn how to be more equipped to provide it. And women, we have to not feel like because we pause to put our men first that we are forgotten about, and we are forgotten about, and that we will not have our turn and our time. It has to start somewhere. It has to start with someone. So I feel that since our men are who we expect to be our providers, the leads of the home, we have to learn how to cater to them or to support them in a way that allows them to do that without putting added on pressure, so that you guys can go out, do what you need to do. And like Pastor Lindsay said, you battle in the world, and then you come home and you still got to battle at home. It has to, we don't want that. We don't want those communication. We don't want those issues. So thank you for sharing that. But again, if I was hearing you right, you were talking about the weight of expectation on your shoulders. So ladies, again, I want to repeat the question. First question Pastor Chris asked was, do you feel it's not, I know we're doing a little different tonight, and that's okay. We can try different things. It's cool. Ladies, do you feel it's not about how a man feels or only what he can provide in the home? If you believe that it is about what a man feels and not what he provides first, I would say put a 1 in the chat. Let's do that. Maybe we get some responsive interaction. Good evening, Anitra Ace Carter is in the building. She says, good evening, good evening. Good to see you, my kin. Like, subscribe, and share, guys. We are taking time to pause. People don't really want to have these real conversations quite often, or people will watch from the background, and that's good, fine and well, because the information is still the same. But these are important conversations to be had. We want to open it up and keep it real because we want to do better and be better. Donald said, good share, says something to grow on. It does matter what a man expects when he responds. Yes, it does. We need to know what your expectation is so we can authentically respond to you. I don't want to, come to you with a solution and you don't want to hear that. I don't want my voice to irritate you even more. You know what I'm saying? After you let it out. And it's a difference between dumping and venting. That's what I was saying. If we are clear as to what it is, if you just want to dump, that's cool. Let me know, because as soon as you're finished, I'm gonna throw it out. I'm not even going to, I'm right. Take it off your hands. Pastor Chris has a second question as we move on. He says, ladies, do you feel men are not unconditionally? Well, you read the question, Pastor Chris.
Yes, yeah, because I messed it up. So it says, ladies, do you feel men are not unconditionally loved? Is it only women, children, or dogs that receive unconditional love? If you heard the song, you wouldn't be offended by the last statement because it's in the lyrics. So basically, what I'm asking is it easy for a woman to unconditionally love everyone else but their men? There you go.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Pastor Lindsay, what say you?
I think it goes back to the point of expectations, because we all have or may have different expectations. Now, I can speak for me, and I base everything personally because that's how I view everything. My expectations when I get home are one way. My wife's expectations when I get home is totally something different. And like you said, Lady Dawn, if we communicate, then our expectations will somehow line up. What do I mean by that? We check the temperature before we get home, before I get home. My wife works at home, I work outside. 9 times out of 10, throughout the day, I'll give a quick text. This has been a crazy day.
Right.
So she already knows that when I'm on my way home, it's been one of them days where I deal with customers, employees, management staff, and I just had one of them days. So now when I'm coming home, she already has an expectation of he's going to need some time to vent, or he's going to need some time to be alone to decompress. Because we already communicated. Or she'll text me and say, hey, it's been one of them days. So now my expectation when I get home is, okay, I now want to cater to her to make sure that she's good. I put myself on a back burner to make sure she's good, because she is the fragrance of the house. When she's upset, it disrupts the whole household. And so I want to make sure that she's good. And then she says it to me, when you're upset, it disrupts the whole household. So she want to make sure I'm good. So our expectation is to make sure that each other's good. So when we do come home, if she want to talk about her day, she talks. If I want to talk about my day, I talk. Sometimes we don't even talk about the day. It's been a crazy day. I know what it is like for her. I come home, we leave it alone. Because we check the temperature. And I like what you said. Check the temperature of the house before you come home. Hey, this is how I'm feeling today. This is what's going on in my world outside. So now when I walk in, it's not, oh, hey, baby, I may not be in the mood for all of that. I just want to go in my room, be quiet, decompress.
Right. And women, we can't take it personal.
Yeah, don't take it personal. Because for me, she knows when I'm coming home and I go into the room, she leaves me alone for 15 minutes. That's just the way we flow. We've been together 19 years now. And that's the way we flow. She leaves me alone. 20 minutes later, she comes back in and says, you all right? Yeah, I'm good now. And we go about our day. And the same thing with her. When I know she's been frustrated, I come in. I don't even worry about myself. I go in, I try to help out in the kitchen. Start cooking dinner. Start doing this. Start doing that. To help her come back here and decompress. Because we got to create that safe environment for each other. And sometimes it's the nonverbal communication that matters. It's the nonverbal stuff that you have to learn about your spouse or the one that you're with that matters. Sometimes everything can't be spoken. It got to be, I see what's going on, and I move.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. Donald, are you in a space where you can jump in and share? I'll mute you for a second. I can't. There we go. Okay. I keep unmuting him. He keeps muting. You want to jump in and share, Donald?
Oh, I don't know what's happening with the mic. I haven't touched.
It's okay.
I only shared to that. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was just being respectful. My share to that is, I guess, what I already said. Because again, men have to make a safe space for women to be. When men have to create that safe space if they're expecting the woman to be a listener to what their vent or what their issue is, or and what he is expecting from her to basically help him through. I like how you already read it off. I just want to go back to it to say what you put out there as a share 4 is something that I didn't even think about myself when it comes to, okay, when I vent to my wife that I've been with for 22 years, and no matter which way we know each other in that 22 years, of knowing how we communicate, how each communicates differently, sometimes that communication can get adjusted. Sometimes if it's too much silence and you're expecting an answer and she don't give you one, then you look at her like, well, I'm asking you a question, and then I get corrected 9.99% of the time of saying, no, you didn't ask me a question. You asked me to listen to a situation, and I wasn't sure how exactly to respond because this didn't seem like you would ask me a question. It seemed like you just came to the door and had some kind of day, and all of a sudden now you just start venting. And you know, my wife, one that has corrected me several times, well, is this when you wanted me to have an opinion, or you just wanted to get something off your chest, whether it had to deal with work or home or any other area, community, etc. I definitely would like to suggest to all parties listening today that, first, make time outside your home when and if it's necessary to create that safe space to have that conversation as needed. I'm not suggesting that you spend every time there's that. I'm not suggesting go spend a lot of money to go eat somewhere. I'm just saying sometimes a simple stepping outside your door.
Outside of the home. Right. Create space outside of the home.
Right, because then you're in an equal ground environment that allows the man to be heard and the woman to be a listener, and then for her to feel like, okay, this is where I can ask a question or make a suggestion, or this is where I may not need to say something because all he did was just come in and say, man, did I have a rough day today? And that might be the only vent he has, whereas, man, I really had a rough day today. And for me personally, because it works better than I was doing it before, yes, I do approach my wife with saying, honey, I have something I need your opinion on, versus, honey, I have something what do you think about this? Versus, honey, can I just tell you this? And, we don't really have to really delve into it. It's just a thought,
You provide the clarity. I said you provide clarity in what you want from the conversation that's going to be had, as well as saying it's important to go outside. If I'm understanding you correctly, it's important to go outside of the home to create going outside of the home creates kind of a level playing field for you both to have space.
Yes.
You got it. You got it. Conversation. Okay, got you. You have some feedback behind you, so you kind of going in and out. So I don't want to.
Sorry about that. I'm in commute, but
I know.
I still add to adding to what you said also is important, because again, I don't want to leave the luggage on my wife's lap, and then she's like, well, what am I supposed to do with this now? Because now he just compounded my day with his day. So now I'm stuck with his stuff. I don't like to leave my wife with my problems.
It has to go. Right. It has to go. I said, right. It has to go somewhere. It has to go someplace.
Yeah, but it don't need to go on her lap, though. You know what I mean? Like, taking from what she said.
If you leave it on her lap, it's still going to end up in your house. And eventually you're going to have to deal with the repercussions.
Yeah. And you know your sister-in-law well enough to know, at least you should know. She'll give it back to me and say, hey, look, I don't know what to do with this. You take this back and put it somewhere else.
Because you ain't want me to fix it. Right. Thank you for that, bro. Yeah. That's what, I do. My sister-in-law Shirley will. She's a woman after my own heart. But I want to, thanks, bro, for that share. I want to answer that there's an answer to the question. in the chat. And ladies, chime in. Again, I know it's men's night, and we're moving a little differently on tonight because we wanted the men to be able to have the space to share. If you haven't been able to listen to the song, I suggest and recommend that you do. It is coming from a man's space, and they're sharing their heart as to how he feels and what they go through internally, the things that we don't think about or that we don't consider that our men deal with, because they do come off as always so strong. But when we are with them, it's important that we allow them to feel and know that it's okay to do so. So Anae says in response to Pastor Chris's question, which I believe really he's saying, ladies, do you feel that men are worthy of unconditional love? Or again, is it only for women? Should unconditional love only be directed towards women, children? And again, if you listen to the song, you'll hear the indication of where the reference of dogs come from. It is not an offense. No one's calling anybody a dog, so it is not an offensive statement. It's in the song. He's making a point. But Anae says, and ladies, again, Anitra, Risha, y'all chime in, share. Who else is here? Pat Shay, come on, we want to hear from you guys. They want to hear from you guys. She says, Psalmist, if I'm understanding your questions correctly, my answers are: how a man feels is very important. I believe in unconditional love in a marriage, with family, and four-legged family. So, and they said she believes in unconditional love all around. I know I can speak for myself. I believe unconditional love. I don't think that love. I think it's going to be a little. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I don't think that it's fair to cause people to earn your love. And I'll say this from the aspect of God loves us. And again, I know we're not a Christian station, but again, I told you, I'm a God's girl, so you're going to get some Jesus every time. Okay? All right. So for me, I don't think that, and everybody does not have to agree, this is my moral compass. I don't think we should put people, you're putting a menu, a price list together for love when you are forcing people to earn love. And it's like, if you do this for me, then I love you. No, you don't love me. You love what I do, or you love what I provide. But you loving me is a whole different story, or me loving you. The only way I know how to love is the way God loves me. And again, I didn't do anything. The only thing I did to earn God's love was sin. That was it. By no other means should he love me the way that he does, or should he care for me the way that he does. And again, that's my personal moral compass. You don't have to agree or disagree. But because of that, I instinctively love everyone. And I do have a level of love. Now, you grow in love with a person as your relationship develops. That's different. The levels of love are different for me. But I'm going to love you. You don't have to perform some magical feat. You don't have to create some grand gesture. You don't have to do. You just deserve to be loved because you are God's creation. You're a human being. You are a man. You are a person with feelings just the same. And I'm going to start out loving you in a particular way. Does that love come with conditions? If we, as women, if men put conditions on them loving us, would we be able to meet those conditions? You have to flip it. Would we as women be able to meet the conditions of our men? And this is, we've like created this bartering table, and I'll love you if you do this. And I'll love you if you do this. It's transactional, and that's not what love should be. The only transaction, the greatest transaction of love was Jesus dying on the cross for us. Was God given Jesus. And so with that, none of us have done anything to earn God's love but sin. So for me, that's how I think of love. But again, there are different degrees, there are different levels, and we grow in that love based on how we develop, how we treat one another, not so much what we are doing to each other or for each other, but how we care from the heart. Because if you don't care from the heart, I don't want anything else that comes with it, because then you're buying my love. And that's just my share. And Nitra says, yes, men deserve unconditional love. Pastor Chris, did you want to share anything else before we move on to your next question because there's a question and an answer to number 3.
Yeah, I just basically I just posted the questions because if we can't get to all of it, at least the audience can be engaged in the questions that are in the chat. So that's why I posted them in there. But for question 3, of course, like, you know, it's, you know, I'm gonna answer question 3. I'm gonna go to question 3 pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think we've already beat that dead horse already when it comes to the first couple of verses. I'm gonna go to question 3. So, ladies, do you feel? Oh shoot, I messed that all up. See, can't even write. All right. Do you feel men are only to play that? Okay, so ladies, do you feel that you think that men are only supposed to play their roles? Is there space for him to feel needed and wanted mentally and emotionally? So I messed the whole question up. So that's a question I wanted to pose on the floor. Ladies, do you feel or think men are only to play our roles? Is there space for him to feel needed without the resources or money? Not saying that's not a factor, but let's rule that out. Needed and wanted mentally and emotionally. So that's a question posed on the table. So of course I'm not going to answer it. Of course, Miss Ace is already answering question 3, so I appreciate that. And I want to go ahead and give it to Pastor Lindsay because he's the icing on the cake here, and I'm trying not to go ham. I just want to make sure I get all these questions out before I go ham. Okay, so that's why it's a little slow tonight. Okay, go ahead.
That's because we're taking time. We're taking time. Listen, men, y'all don't get a chance to take the time to pause and reflect and have these. It's okay if it's slow moving conversation. It's conversation, and that's what we wanted to do, to create the space, because sometimes we need to pause to have these slow reflective conversations so we understand, because we miss a lot in the quick, you know, all the excitement. A lot of times we miss it. We come in, you have the emotion of the moment, but you have no content that you leave with. So we good with the pace. So y'all like, subscribe, and share. We got a different flow going. I know y'all used to the toxicity and the smoke and fire, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. You know, something usually happens around 8:30. You know, it turns into Lady Dawn B after dark. You already know. 8:30 is approaching, so I'm sure it's gonna take a swift left at some point. But Ace Nietzsche says there's no need to separate any of it. All of that humans need, therefore men need the same space women need. There is no difference in that way for me. And she also says, I like it, Pastor Chris, it's needed. Yeah. Just adding to again for a woman's perspective. My thing is always so when you're asking about men playing their role, number one, you have to define what that role is, you know, and if you limit a man to a role, ladies, then don't expect anything more from him. If you just want him to pay a bill, for you to look pretty on his arm and to take you places, then you already not created space or leaving room for him to feel needed. The only need he's going to feel that he has is to pay your bill, escort you somewhere, and take you on trips. You're not interested in his mental or emotional needs or stimulation. So you have to be mindful of what is this role? What am I bringing this man into my life for? What is the role that I want you to play? And if you want that from a man, then I would recommend that those be the first things that you initiate or engage in with him, is that mental and emotional space. Otherwise, he is not going to feel needed, in those areas, and men go empty in that space. So again, for me, I need you to be all that and then some. I need the broad shoulders. I need the needed, the wanted, the mental, the emotional, spiritual, all that good stuff. And we do have to make room for that. And I think also that it adds to how we present to a man. how am I in my approach to you and with you? What am I showing you to keep your interest? Am I showing you my mind? Am I showing you that I am equipped to cater to or be in tune with your emotions? Or am I just showing you that, you know, I could fit into this dress and these red bottoms and look good on your arm? You know, so I think we have to manage. It can be done. I'm just saying, but it's not 8:30, so we're not gonna talk about it. We got 15 minutes left. Come on, Pastor Lindsay, jump in.
When it comes down to the emotional and mental state of a man, we sometimes want to be stimulated, meaning that we want to have that conversation with you. We want to have that intellectual conversation with you. It's not always physical. It's not always I gotta have this or I gotta have you. Sometimes we want your mind. Because if we can get to your mind, we can tap into places that the physical can't take you. And then once we tap into your mind, or you tap into our mind, then that's where the emotional part comes in. Because now my vulnerability comes down because we are intellectually or mentally now connected. My emotions now are high. And then now, I'm going to say it like this, we grown folks, the sex will be better. I'm just going to throw it out there. Once you stimulate my mind and you get my emotions tied up in it, after that, everything else is better. Because now we tied into and we become what? One. But when you don't take into consideration or try to get to know each other mentally first, there's a disconnect. Where it's a disconnect. And I'm being honest. Y'all laughing, it's a disconnect.
No. We're laughing because Renee said, uh-oh. Because
oh, I see the comment now.
It's almost 8:30.
It's almost 8:30.
I see the comment now. It's a disconnect. And what happens is and I think this is the problem where we have why men and women sometimes miss that disconnect. It's because all they want to do is connect physically. And when the physical connection wears off, where's the common ground? And if you don't have common ground after the physical wears off, then you're both are left like, really? Huh? Whereas if I stimulate your mind and your emotions, even before we get to physical, we already connected. We already are in tune with one another.
Right.
And if you've been with somebody long enough, see, I can only go for myself. When people look at me and my wife, they be like, when they see her, they see me. When they see me, they see her. Or me and her could be in a department store, and I look at her, and she looks at me. We know each other thinking. That's because we connected already. And it goes beyond a physical connection. It goes to a mental connection. And if you can get that connection mentally with someone that you are involved with, then you'll start to see the emotional part of it. Then you can start to see where men will now be more vulnerable because they found that safe place in you. See, we talk about the safe place being the home. The safe place is not really the home. The safe place is in her.
Yeah.
Like it's what song is that? Luther Vandross. A house is not a home.
Watch your voice.
I don't want to go. Huh?
Say, watch your voice. Watch your voice.
When he said, that's my favorite song, by the way. A house is not a home without you there. Because when you're in my home could be jacked up. As long as you're in there and I connect with you, I'm good.
Well, wherever she is your home. That's it. Don't
right,
matter.
That's the point. Wherever she's at, that's my home.
You could be in a box. That's your home. Wherever long as she's there.
And she's good. The house is not a home if she ain't there. So she's not there. I'm living in a house all by myself. I want to come home. And the home could be wherever she's at. Because wherever she's at, that's my place of comfort.
Mhm.
That's my place of stability. That's my place of safety. And as long as as long as we connect mentally, we can ride or die.
So, ladies, you better learn how to be a home. Don't just be a house. Don't just be four walls. You got to learn how to be a home. Watch your voice, Pastor Lindsay. You done tapped on something there, sir. You know, you made a good point. You were talking about the intellectual conversation and that, you know, men want a woman's mind first. Unfortunately, truth be told, it does not, the way it is today and society, we have made it as such that women are under the misconception from what you're saying, and that, you know, the first thing we use to attract a man is usually our physical, because we think that that's what y'all want. Because it seems that, you know, I'm just saying, and this is, you know, it's the truth and it's real. What happens is, you know, it's always the particular shape, size, color, long hair. And this is why, you know, the beauty industry is $1 billion, $1 trillion industry and all of this, because women are so busy cosmetically trying to use or cosmetically change the outside to get the attention and to just catch a man's eye, you know, because we think, and we've been conditioned to think that that's the first level of attraction that you have to have. You're not interested in my content until you can get past my packaging. So you don't want to hear what's going to come out of my mouth if you don't like the package that it comes in. You know, so we doing all of these extra things. So for us women, it's hard for us to switch that and to understand that a man actually, because you don't see it often. So when you meet him,
I get it and I understand it because we're wired that way. We can't get to your mind without first being physically attracted to you. But once we see your physical and we think you look good, but then you open your mouth,
right?
Then it's a turn off.
Yeah, there's some beautifully ugly people. There are beautiful ugly people, and it's on both sides. You know, there are some men who are top-notch fine, but bro, the minute you open your mouth, like, it is horrible. Like, it kills everything. It's like it just turns to ash. Like, no, don't nobody want that. Like, that's a pretty mess. You know, that's what it becomes. Nobody wants that. You know, but it's true. So, ladies, you know, we have to maybe recondition a lot of our thinking and start leading with our content above our packaging. You know, you have to be confident in who you are and what you bring to the table, because it's true. You know, men don't want, from what they're saying, men don't want a woman who just looks good. You need to be good on the inside. If you're not good for me internally, I don't care if if you're not good for me internally, the only thing you're good for is one night. Like, that's it. You know, and that ain't gonna get you far. If only for one night. See what I'm saying? You didn't put us in a space. Is it 8:30 yet? It's 8:23.
Not yet. I'm gonna set it up for Lady Dawn B after dark in just a few minutes though.
Wait, before you do, hold on, before you do, okay, because I hear your tone changing. Watch your voice. Let me just read this comment for a second. Anitra says roles limit how our life and relationships will be able to grow over time, which is true. It does. It boxes you in, and I don't think anybody wants that. Nobody wants to be limited to this is all that you think that I am. So I think you have to leave room. There are key elements in roles that we play or that we're expected to fulfill, but I think we need to, be open for those spaces to grow. Donald says, gotta run, but my final thoughts, every man's song in reference to Dax is based on his own experience. We all don't go through the same way. However, we can apply the results to make improvements. Very true, very true. So if you get to listen to the song, Please take the time too, because again, I mean, there's just some key basic things that are just standard with all men that they experience, or most men. However, yes, every man's experience is different, so it's not cookie cutter. Donald says it's about how we deliver the thought when we deliver the thought, and the expectation we're looking for as the result. Do we need to be heard? Then we can let go, or do we need help? So he's talking to how we for how we express, how men express to women what it is that you need, what's your response. He says, if so, then what we are asking or expecting from her, create time, a place depending on the issue, and make it comfortable. Be confident in yourself to express yourself. And he says, blessings. And they says, a pretty mess. Yes, honey, a pretty mess. You can be a pretty mess. You can be a fine mess. You can be a beautiful tragedy. Sometimes, women, you can be a beautiful tragedy. Sometimes, it's women. That's another story.
What's that saying that nobody knows how stupid you are until you open your mouth?
What you say now? What you say? Listen. And Pastor Chris says, for a little boy, yes. For a grown man, no. Nobody knows. Nobody knows till you open your mouth. All right. I think that is all the comments. So come on, Pastor Chris. There's one more question, but he wants to set it up for Dawn B After Dark. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, because the song plays so many narratives, and again, it's not for all men. We get that. I'm not sitting here saying, well, this is for all men out there. That's not what I said. Listen to the song. But for some of us, there are some truths. A lot of us did not have hard lives. A lot of us did. A lot of us were not taught how to be proper men. Some of us were. A lot of us weren't taught properly in some of our churches. Some of us have. So there's so many dynamics, so many things to consider. All I'm saying is there are key things that the song has posed that most men either experienced before, went through, or feel like. That's all I'm saying. So again, with this, the emotional changes that happen. Yes, men go through emotional changes. We go through a thing called midlife crisis, right? We think we're 25 again at 50. Just saying. That's what we do. We go through that. But I don't have hair under here, so sometimes I wish I had my hair back, Pastor Lindsay. The seasick ways with the sick cuts and edge. That was me all day long. But unfortunately, I couldn't keep that. So anyway, all I'm saying, so basically, when it comes to the circle of life, as a man, we all go through different stages. We have our whole phases. Sorry, there's the setup to Dawn After Dark. We have our whole phases. We have our nice guy phases. We have our ghetto phase. We have we have the businessman phase. Still want to be a player. We have our I can't say this now. It's not after 8:30. Okay. We have all these phases as men, right? So what I'm saying is, I'm not sitting here saying that it's because of a gender's fault that men have these issues. That's not what I'm saying. But we have emotions too that are not heard. That's what I'm trying to pose. Also, we do go through depression. We go through different mental statuses. That's why most of us lean to the bottle a little bit more. That's why some of us lean to extracurricular activities a little more. Why? Because we're not giving an outlet to scream, to holler, to cry, to be exposed. It's okay. But we're told we gotta be cavemen. Who said that? Because that makes things worse. Now, I know, Pastor Lindsay, you can agree with this. When you have a pressure of being a pastor, there's a standard with that by itself. Then you have your job. That's a standard. Then you have your wife or your lady. There's a standard with that. Now, we have to break the monotony of all these preset standards because not everyone's the same. One size doesn't fit all, but we've catered that in some of our manuals and documents and procedures and bylaws that one size fits all of us and all of us do not fit the same size. I'm sorry, my head is too big. I cannot just wear a medium. I need an extra large. I'm just saying. So again, we can't keep fitting stuff that doesn't apply. All I'm saying is these are different things, targets, tools, things. Some of us didn't have a daddy when we grew up. Okay, so we're learning. We're going through different phases. We're dealing with different struggles. Many men go through depressions. We deal through struggles. We go through hardships. We lose things. We gain things. No wonder most men are so depressed nowadays. It's because of the fact we have no outlet. We turn to the bottle instead of turning to our wife or our spouse. We turn to all these extra things because the attention here is not there. I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, and all you saying is, oh, you being weak, you're being emotional, man up. You don't need to hear that. You hear that enough outside the walls. You don't need to hear that from somebody that you love. Some of us may have had that testimony when we grow up, but I'm at a point in my life, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you tell me I'm soft. I don't want to hear you tell me I can't have emotion. I don't want to hear you tell me I can't be depressed. I don't want to hear you tell me I can't mourn. I can't cry. I can't this. I can't that. I'm sorry. I have to be healthy. And if you find me to be weak, leave me alone. Because I cry and that doesn't show masculine tendencies for you, leave me alone. If I'm expressing myself and I'm telling you once, and then I'm telling you twice, and then I tell you 3 times, after the 3rd time I'm not repeating myself, leave me alone. So then all these things I'm telling you, I'm giving you, I want to be heard too. It's a simple fact. All of us want to be heard at some point. Our relationships will never go beyond the eye gate or the booty or the muscles or whatever it is you into. It's never going past that because we don't want to go here first. We don't want to go here first because all of us got stuff, men and women. And if we can't be man and woman enough to put our stuff on the table and we can't talk about that, and I know, Pastor Lindsay, you can agree because you've been married a very long time, sir. So I think if you put all your stuff on the table and you're able to take pieces at a time, okay, I'll take this piece that hurt you. You take this piece that hurt me. Let's try to work it out. Let's hash it out. And if you do that, your 1 year in marriage could be 30. I mean, I could be wrong, Pastor Lindsay. I don't know. I'm not experienced in that arena like you, sir, but I'm quite sure all the pieces that both of you put on the table in a long period of time, healing can take place. So I'm going to end it, and then we're going to go to After Dark because it's after 8:30. So pretty much the whole perspective of this whole song is basically an anthem. It's a battle cry, pretty much. Again, if you haven't heard the song, please hear the song. You know, I don't know, you know, we got to know what we're worth. And we don't want to wait till the day, or you don't want to wait till the day that your spouse or your man dies to realize how truly valuable they were in your life. Uh-oh. Well, a lot of us have that story. You wait until he's dead and gone. Oh, I loved you, Pookie. You should have said that when he was alive. I mean, I'm just saying, and I hear this in a lot of funerals. You hear the lady or the wife bawling. Now, the man was with you all this time, and then you're telling us he's no longer with us. He can't hear you. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, ladies. So please hear me. But I hear this all the time from widows. I should have. Why must we wait to express ourselves, or you feel as a woman that the man that you have in your life was truly the man that gave you everything you needed, besides this Mr. Green or the black card. He gave you everything that you needed. And now that he's gone, instead of wailing, you'll be crying with happy tears. Why? Because, man, my baby now can rest.
Mm-hmm.
He can rest easy. I don't have to sit here and oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Let's stop that. So anyway, I got one more point, and I want Pastor Lindsay to drop some of his gems because he's got gems for that one. So I'm done with that, and I'll make my last point, and then that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, come on, Pastor Lindsay. Let me read this comment before. Landon Price says, "Hey girl" is a compliment no matter what age a lady is. "What's up, boy" can never be a compliment in our world. Grow up fast. Grow up fast equals boys. Grew up fast, excuse me, equals boys. I get that perspective, you know. Well, I for me personally, "Hey girl" is it's not a compliment to me. I'm gonna look at you a little bit side eyed. I'm gonna wonder like who you. First of all, hey, I don't really respond to hey too much. I'm just saying I understand the point. I'm just speaking. I can only speak for Dawn B. That's it. You know, at 55, I'm not playing with you. Hey girl, like sir, who you talk? I keep walking because I don't know who you're talking to. I'm like, I don't know, because I'm a whole grown woman. I nobody playing with you, you know, and I'm not gonna tell you what's up, boy, but I get it. You know, women will quickly respond to those type of things just because that it's an attention thing, you know, and we have to stop feeding into that, and we need to be able to address and respect each other in the rightful space. I wouldn't want you. If I approach you saying "What's up, boy," that's speaking a whole. Listen, I'm thinking that you a child. Like I'm gonna take you to the police prison because I'm gonna think you lost. Find your parents. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good point. It's a good point. Just saying how, you know, the playing field is not leveled in that space, and we need to be able to address our men respectfully, you know, and in a manner where we are understanding. Yes, boys and males have been forced to grow up or man up, so to speak, a whole lot faster than women have been pushed. We get coddled and nurtured our way through. Men, you do not. You get pushed and shoved into your manhood, and that's not, you know, that's not a good space to be in. So before we get to one of the last points, because I have a final question at the end. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Per usual, y'all know how it goes down on Thursday night. Yes, I know this is a bit of a different flow on tonight, and it is intentional because sometimes we do have to pause and slow things down to have meaningful, not that all of our conversations are not meaningful, because they are, but we have to slow down to hear our men and give them the space to speak in the way that they need to get something off of their chest, let their voices be heard, because now once the information is out there, you cannot say you did not know. You can just say you chose not to adhere to it. So information, knowledge is key, and knowledge is power. So now, you know, you're responsible for what you hear. Ladies, these are things for us to keep in consideration. Again, there is no black and white, one size fits all, as Pastor Chris said. You know, you have to take what jewels, what gems, you got to take the meat that's suited for you and spit out the bone and, you know, apply it. But we have these conversations because we want to open up dialogue so that we can be better for each other, with each other, and to each other. So we are talking about to be a man in the men's lounge tonight. We never know what we're going to get. We never know. So come on, Pastor Lindsay, come on and share something with us on tonight before we turn it back into Pastor Chris's hands for some final comments. And then I have one last question to wrap it up.
The song that by Dax, I listen to it quite often because it took me to an emotional place, because I consider myself for the generation that I grew up in, and how we looked at things differently to how men are now. When I was growing up, we was taught men provide. Men are the breadwinners. Men are the ones to go out, do the work, come home, don't show emotion, don't show love to your kids. All you have to do is to provide, pay the bills, and keep it moving. Now this generation, and I see it because I'm out in it every day, this generation is now where a lot of the women are taking the lead role, where they are now a lot of the breadwinners in a home. And I think that it's time for the old school men not to, well, it's time for us to take back and to teach our children how it should be done, but also understand that women now are playing a more active role in the home than what it used to be when I was growing up. When I was growing up, when I wanted to cry or when I wanted to show emotion, I ran to my mother. I didn't run to my father because my father would have said it's weak. My father would have said, man up. My father was one of those. And so now, men are now learning to embrace the emotional side of who they are. And we as men of my age have to adapt to allow them to experience that. Because if we don't allow them to experience that, we're cutting them off from a part of themselves. And then when they go to isolation because they can't express themselves, then we want to know what's wrong with them. We got to be able to allow the young generation to express themselves, but to the point where we're like, okay, now that you express yourself, how are you now going to bring that back in to be the person who you can be to the woman that you want the woman to be, or to that woman that you want to have? Because they are looking at us, or they're looking at the men, and a lot of the women are looking at men like they're boys. They're not looking at them as men anymore. They're looking at boys. And the boys are just not emotionally ready to handle some of these women out there. And right now, Lady Dawn, I think you said it, that women, I think the men are lacking, I'm afraid to say it, but I'm going to say it there. Men are far behind when it comes to the emotional part of it.
Yeah.
I think men are like 10 years behind. I'm just being honest. Because women are up on their game. I'm not going to say heading up. Women are up on their game. Women are now thinking with their minds, and men are still thinking with their you know what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, all they want to do is hit it and quit it. And right now, that's how I see it. And women are now, some women, not all, some are feeding into that by the way they dress and how the way they look. And that's what they're attracting. And then when you attract that, then you get upset, say there's no good men out there. But there are good men out there. It's just that the good men are not looking at you that way. They want the intellectual part of you. They don't want the physical part of you first. They want the intellectual part of you. And I think that we all need to come. That's why this is so good to have, because, and I think more people should hear this, is the fact that there's a book out, Men Are From Venus. I think Men Are From Venus, Women From Mars, something like that.
Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Yeah.
If you ever read that book, and I read it years ago,
yeah.
It's eye-opening to how the mind for women and men are totally on different spheres. Men look at you this way, men look at you the other way. And we have to learn how to come to some type of agreement in the middle. And until we come to that agreement, we're always going to have a disconnect somewhere. But my disconnect that I see personally is the mental piece. It's the mental piece. Because we gotta have a lot. You gotta allow us to have that space. We gotta allow you to have your space, but we gotta connect mentally. Because if I can't connect with you mentally, physically, and emotionally, it's dead out the water. Dead in the water. It's just dead in the water.
No, and you're right. I think what happens is, in as you were talking, I was writing down some thoughts because one thing that I realized is wrong with our society today, or this society that we've created that has developed and turned into this what's normal now. Oh snap, hold on, I'm so sorry. Pastor Chuck is in the house. He was here last week with us. He was our special guest when we were talking about men's heart health, what makes it beat. I actually had a point I'm gonna bring up to him. Welcome, Pastor Chuck, my brother. He says, agreed with Pastor. Men need to learn how to expand their emotional expression, but still remain masculine. A lot of men struggle with this. Amen, Pastor Chuck. Pastor
You
Chuck,
took the words out of my mouth, Pastor Chuck. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You gonna meet Pastor Chuck real soon. He's gonna come back in. If you didn't see last week's, go back and see last week's. Thank you for popping in. You should be up here with the men folk tonight. But what I want to share and what I want to say also is in what you were sharing and how our culture has developed and changed, and we are breeding this generation that goes on they don't go off of emotion, they go off of stimulation, and a lot of us do the same thing, but our actions create conditions and our conditions create the reactions. And I'm saying that in a sense of, you refer to how if the mental piece is not there, then it's a no-go. But the first thing that there was a space of time where the switch came, where now women are dressing in a way that is more provocative, and that is the norm. Whereas there was a time when dressing in a provocative way, you would be the odd man out. And now that is the norm, that if you are not showing a whole bunch of skin, you don't fit in. If you are not revealing all your goodies, on a daily basis, then, you are the weird one. You are the one that does not fit in. You're going to be the one that gets the least attention. It is thought of, and it is said, a lot of times from the female aspect, is, if you're covered up, no one's paying you no attention. Nobody's, you're going to be the last one considered. Nobody wants that. So we as women start to now try to adjust ourselves to look like everybody else, because it becomes competitive, because we want, and this is the condition again, this is how our actions are creating a condition, and we become desensitized to the fact that we need to have some mental stimulation, that we need to have some emotional stimulation. But that's secondary. All I want right now is for your eye to be on me, and for your heart to be beating out of your chest, and for you to have to catch your breath, brother, when I walk by, because that means that I caught your eye. And then once I get that, now keep in mind, when you do that, the way a man is going to speak to you and approach you is not going to be to ask you what's on your mind, because you've already shown him, you've given him a sneak peek as to your assets. Putting it lightly. So again, the bait that you use to get someone is the food you have to continue feeding them to keep them. So what you lead with, and this goes for men as well. So ladies, if you are not wanting a man to approach you like that, you could be the most beautiful thing, but if I don't approach you, if I don't present myself in a way where you approach me for my mind, then I can't be offended if the first thing I'm showing you again is my figure. Because once we get past that, we have nothing. I'm sorry. I want to go back because I lost my thought for a second. But I want to go back also because what I was going to say from last week that we talked about when we talk about men's heart health. And I brought up the fact that there was an old saying that says the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And again, it goes back to the appetite. Pastor Chuck brought up a very good point, and he said the basic, I'm paraphrasing, but the issue is the way to a man's heart is you got to find out what he's hungry for. You know, it's not just through his stomach, but find out what he's hungry for. So in you being a man, like I'm not going to give you a kiddie meal. I need to find out what you as a man, what are you hungry for? What really is going to satisfy your appetite? What do you like? What do you need? Women, we have to stop posing ourselves and pretending that we are this figure of a wife without the content of a wife. You want to be a wife, but I'll put it this way because it's after 8:30. We talk about, you know, wanting a real man and all of this, but truth be told, that if a real man approached you, would we recognize it? Would we recognize a real man? And would we be able to go toe to toe and hold it 10 toes down just as strong with a real man? A lot of us, or some of us, may not. Why? Because we have not been conditioned. We are not building ourselves up at the same time to be equal with that real man. Some, not all, some. So we can't put all the ownership on the men. You know, women, we have to take responsibility. We have the ability to change trajectories when it comes to a man. If you stop putting it out there, they'll stop looking. If you want him to know how many degrees you got, you know, you got to lead a little different. Put yourself in a different space that requires him to respect you first versus lusting after you first. You know, so I just wanted to share that before I let y'all have your final comments. Pastor Chris, I don't know, Pastor Lindsay, do you want to have your final comments first? And Pastor Chris, you can do however you want to do it. I hope I was helpful. I was just sharing, y'all. I was just saying. You
said you had a final question.
Yes.
I do. Well, we both do, I think.
No, I don't have a final question. My questions have been put in the chat, so I'm good.
All right. Well, my final question is this. Now that we have vented and we've done a bit of dumping, we've done a little bit of I'm just in general, we've done it all. What? We vented. Men and women. I'm not saying just y'all, but we did. On this topic, we have vented. I'm taking my words back. We vented. We have dumped out. We've shared, right? Have we not? We've got some things off of our chest. You know, we've talked. We've hashed some things out. You put some things on the table. And that's fine. It's a safe space to dump. I'm just saying this. But now that we've had the beginning of this conversation, and we can definitely do a part 2 because you can't get through it all in one night. Going forward, what can we do today to move forward and create? How can we move forward from this space to create better spaces for our men to be able to be the man that you want to be with the support of the woman that you have? Because it's hard to be hard all the time. It is extremely hard to be hard all the time. And women, if you don't create a space for a man to decompress, you cannot be mad when he is not meeting your needs emotionally because you are forcing him to be hard all the time. So how do we move forward in breaking down that wall for you to, again, just to support you as being the man that you need to be?
First, I think we have to understand that when Pastor Chris put up the question, is it unconditional love? Because when we are in a relationship with someone who we believe and who we want to or thinking about spending the rest of our lives with, we want to make sure that the love is there unconditionally, meaning that you allowing me the space to be vulnerable, the space to be emotional, the space to be hard when I need to be, but also soft when I need to be. Because being hard is hard enough. Being hard all the time is hard enough. And we need to have that space where we can be soft, we can be emotional, we can have that moment where we break down, we can have that moment where we are just don't feel like doing anything at all, but just laying there. We need to have that space to be who we are. And then also comes then that communication piece, because communication is key. Because if we both lose the communication piece, then who is hearing one another? God created us with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Why? Because he wants us to hear more and talk less. He wants us to be able to hear and listen. I can hear you, but am I listening to you? Because there's a difference. When I'm hearing you, I can hear you and it goes in one ear and out the other. When I'm listening to you, I'm listening to keywords, inflections of your voice. And when I'm listening to you, I am tapping into your emotional side, because what you may say may not be how you're expressing it.
Right. I'm processing. Yeah. What you're saying.
Right. So you might be saying one thing, I'm hearing one thing, but I should be listening for another.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what happens is that when we learn to turn off our hearing, and what I mean by that, you turn off your hearing and start to listen. I think listening is key, because when you start to listen, you start to hear things that the person is saying, that what they meant to say, even though they're not saying it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you get to that part, then I think the communication will open up better. Then you'll start to pick up on stuff, because when you start listening to her or he's listening to you, sometimes it's the nonverbals. I had to learn this when I was in school. My nonverbal speaks as loud as my verbal.
Sometimes louder.
And sometimes louder.
Yeah.
Like when I'm at work, they can look at my face and know what I'm feeling just by the expression on my face, because my nonverbals. And I said, if I was to speak now, all hell will break loose. So I'm gonna let my emotions and my facial tell you how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I process on how I can deliver it, I want to deliver it the right way. Because if I don't, you're going to get the raw emotions of it, and you're going to hear it but not listen to it. I want to get to the point where you listen, because when you're listening, you're taking it and you're digesting it, and now you're processing it, and now you're listening to you're listening to how I feel.
Right.
And if you listen to somebody long enough, they'll tell you how they feel. The problem is we turn off our ears from listening, and we just hear them, and it goes in one ear and out the other. So I say it to say this. It's on both sides. It's not just the men, but it's the women also. Take time out to listen to each other. Take time out to not be so judgmental, but hear what a person is saying, or listen to what a person is saying, and try to digest it from their perspective and not just your own. Because when you, and always, don't always be so defensive.
Right.
And I think for me, and my wife will tell you this, when we first got married, I was always defensive. As I was always defensive. As soon as something said, my defenses went up. My defenses went up. And I had to learn that I'm not always right. I'm not always right. So I've learned to listen, process it, and I internalize it first. Because I always want to see where I'm at. Was it something I said? Was it something I did? How could I process it better to make this a safer environment for myself, my family, my kids, and whoever enters this space. Because that's all anybody wants to do. Everybody just want to feel safe.
Right.
And if you can create that, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And if you can create that safe space, then people can always come to you and talk to you and know that, hey, this is a safe place to be. And at the end of the day, that's all everybody wants to do. They want to be in a safe place.
That's the truth. That's true. Thank you for sharing that. That's good stuff. We want to listen, to process, and so that we can react and respond properly. And that'll give us the opportunity to learn each other better when we listen, not just be, hearing to react. So thank you for that share, Pastor Lindsay. Come on, Pastor Chris, give us your final thoughts and comments before we shut this puppy down.
Well, Pastor Lindsay said it already. I mean, I don't really know what to add, but I will close in saying this in regards to what we talked about. Yes, there's a lot of me here, but I just definitely, I think I'm glad that this song came when it came. It was a wake-up call for, every generation. I'm glad that the audience and everyone listening and watching was able to learn just a little bit about different perspectives. Now, of course, y'all know me. I don't have a problem putting my stuff out there because, again, that's my testimony. That's what I've dealt with. But being a man is hard. Being a father is hard. Being a husband was definitely harder, and I had to learn through my mistakes, my choices, my challenges, my hidden emotions, my hidden feelings. I had to understand, and I had to be empathetic on certain things. There's a lot of, I can't continue to beat my own self up and be in defense mode constantly. Is it easier said than done, depending on your dynamic or demographic or how you were raised? Yes and no. I say that because if you were raised to be defensive most of your life, and now you're a grown man, and now you're involving a lady in your life, and then you have kids and all this stuff, and all you know is defense, of course your offense is going to suck. Let's just be real about it. But as a man, you have to learn to grow, evolve, be better than your examples that were set before you. Be, as we say in the church, break the generational curse. Okay, look, first of all, it's a choice. If you choose to continue the generation of what Uncle Bob did and then everybody else did before you, you made that choice. It's not necessarily, but okay, I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, like I said, we have to make the choice as we continue to evolve, as we continue to grow. If you can't speak and articulate well, that's fine. It took me a long time to speak like this. I'm sorry. I just went straight and then put it back in the holster. I didn't care who I hurt. I didn't care what your name was. And if my words ain't get you, my fist did. That's how I was built. I had to learn the other piece of being sensitive, listening, being more attentive, not being so quick to just, woman, you don't know what you're talking. I had to learn these things. So most men ain't gonna tell you that. But I'm gonna be real with it. It takes us a long time. And like Pastor Lindsay said, we got a 10-year delay here. So some of us can do it before we get 60. Just say it. We'll be a better man for it. So that's why I love this drive that was, and yes, it was slow. This was totally outside the box. Y'all ain't used to me being this calm, but I couldn't go ham. I couldn't go all in on this subject. It had to be given slowly because my story in itself is a lot, but I saw myself through this song, and I'm like, this has to be said on another scale, because again, we can listen to the song every day and there's a different reaction. Pastor Lindy has a different reaction than I would have a reaction to the song. To me, I got emotional too when I first heard it. I'm like, it's about time. That's exactly what I said. And I repeated it. And I say, it's about time somebody said something. Because this is how I've been feeling for the last 10 years. You know, so again, having places like this, having the stage to see men and hearing that from a man in your demographic, you're getting that live piece here. You're getting the real raw emotion, not from a superstar, not from a studio. You're getting real raw reaction to a song. So that's what I wanted to say, and I'm glad that you walked with us tonight on this journey. I appreciate all of you for just leaning in. I think that's probably what it is, or they just tuned off. I don't know, but I'm quite sure that they were just leaning in and they didn't want to say anything in regards to what was being said, which I have to respect and appreciate. I can't get too mad about that. So that was my final thought in a nutshell. And this is your boy, Pastor Christopher Newton, a.k.a. the Psalmist Voice. I'm done. Back to you.
Oh, thank you, Pastor Chris, so very much. I appreciate you and Pastor Lindsay, as well as Pastor Linwood and Minister Donald, Pastor Brooks. We've been missing him, Elder Gregory, just all of the men that are so willing to always come on and be open and share with us about what goes on in a man's world. I want to thank you for this conversation tonight. Yes, it was a slower pace for the men's lounge. However, it was very necessary that we do that because, as you know, a Thursday night theme is something happens when men speak. Well, tonight, what I'm hoping happened as the men were speaking is that we were learning and we were listening, that we were hearing, and that we were tuning into what was being said. So I want to thank you guys for being with us tonight on Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, via the Bravo with Sheila Network. On tonight, we were having an amazing conversation with our men, and we are calling it a night. I want to, of course, invite you to join us next Thursday as we wrap up this month of June that's dedicated to our men. Next week, we are going to be talking about men's mental health. You know, our conversations are never normal. They're always with a twist. So we have a special guest that will be coming on to join us. As usual, all of our men of the Men's Lounge are invited to be our special guest host all month long. So, men, if you're free, come on, tap and tune in, be on the platform. Let's hear what has to be said, and you can share as well. So we hope and pray that something has been said tonight that has been effective for you, that you have leaned in, that you have listened, and you are learning how we can be better supports to our men as they go and as they grow, as they are developing and becoming. Let's not leave them out there on their own, but let's get behind them, undergird them, and push them to their next. Why? Because they are our leaders and our founders, and they are those who govern and guide us because they are the head. Trust and believe, man. We want you back on top. Why? Because we women's is tired, okay? We tired. We tired and we tired. My shoulders wasn't built for all of this. Okay, I'm tired. Please take your rightful place. Whatever you want, bro, is all right by me. Take your spot. You got it. So we love you over here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. Please be sure to tune in again on Monday nights with Beyond the Mic with my sisters, Coach Pache and Dr. Elaine, Monday nights at 7 p.m. They have great conversation. If you need spiritual guidance, some encouragement, go right across the street to the Sheila Ingram Ministries channel. And every Thursday night, right here at 7 p.m., I'm your Thursday night host, Lady Dawn B, and there's no other place I would rather be. Fellas, hang out with us for a little bit as we shut this down. You guys have a great night, a good rest of your week, and please do your best to stay cool. All right, see you all soon. Invite a friend.
Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm out to get paid for it. Sermon of the day. supposed to be, baby. Informants, informant, that information for me. Important, you